All right, Mets fans, welcome back to the True Mets Talk podcast. The winter meetings are rolling on, and we are talking about another free agent offensive weapon that David Stearns and the New York Mets can go after potentially as a pivot point. Before we fully get into this video about Eugenio Suarez and his fit on the New York Mets in 2026 and beyond, as always, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit those thumbs up buttons, and check out all the previous content on the channel. All right. A name that has really flown under the radar, in my humble opinion, when all these fans and teams are talking about the bigger offensive names like Schwarber most recently. Pete Alonso, of course, you have to talk about that if you're a Mets fan and the Red Sox are in it. You know, he's meeting with the Orioles today, but we haven't really talked about some of the lesser names, especially as they can fit the profile for a DH spot if the Mets do strike out on Kyle Schwarber. Now, we've been talking about Kyle Schwarber. There's a lot of smoke there, a lot of rumors surrounding the Phillies still being favorites, but the Mets making this big push as opposed to Pete Alonso. I have my doubts about the Mets going out there and being successful in signing Schwarber. So, how can you have flexibility? Because I think we all agree that the Mets, especially to try to upgrade this offense without having to rely on some resurgent seasons, need two bats. And what is the most efficient way to get two bats? Because I think it's far-fetched to go out there and get Schwarber and Pete Alonso. I think it's a pipe dream to go out there and get Bellinger and Pete Alonso, because all of these guys want years. They're commanding 4, 5, maybe even 6-year deals. And it's just not realistic to have that kind of payroll hit when you have so many other holes on your roster, let alone deciding what to do in the starting rotation, and also bringing back Edwin Diaz or whichever closer they're going to decide to bring back. But Eugenio Suarez provides some flexibility to get home run potential and pop at the DH spot while still being flexible enough payroll-wise to go out there and sign a big name, whether it's retaining Pete Alonso or going out there and actually being successful for Kyle Schwarber. And you see the market value here for Suarez, 2 years worth around $30 million, which would be right around $15 million AAV is what they're projecting him to be. Now, he's coming off of a very stellar season, a 49 home run season in 2025 for Suarez across those two teams nonetheless. I think that 2 years, $30 million is an absolute steal, but I don't think it's quite realistic. I can see him signing for maybe more of like an $18 million AAV range, somewhere in the ballpark of a 2-year, $36 million deal instead of just the 30. That's how I would put the value in figuration. But of course, the algorithms right here are saying different. Spotrac, as we all know, has a tendency to undercut some of these contract values for free agents. So I think Eugenio Suarez is a great option, especially if David Stearns really doesn't want to commit the years to the second bat that he is hypothetically thinking about bringing on. And you also have the flexibility. Eugenio Suarez isn't a really good glove at third base, but he still can play third base if you need to as well, depending on what happens with Brett Baty. I think it seems like Mendoza, at least, is under the impression that Brett Baty will be on this team and getting the majority of reps in 2026. Yes, he had a breakout performance in 2025, but will he be able to continue that in 2026? If the answer is no, and it ends up being no, then Eugenio Suarez is a positional backup that you can slot in every day in your lineup. If not at the DH spot, then you can do so at third base. And you see some of the metrics here over the past 2 seasons from Suarez, who is currently 34 years old. And like I said, he's not going to be commanding a 3 to 4 year contract, more in line of a 1 or 2 year deal, maybe with an opt-out in between, something of that structure and nature with his next deal. He is a high strikeout guy, and that's the one thing that I will warn people about, because I know that there's going to be a lot of people that come on this channel, see this video, and talk about, yes, he strikes out at a very high clip. He's getting older. The bat speed probably is declining. I understand it. But when you have a guy that's hit 30-plus home runs, and one of those seasons being 49 home runs last season, yeah, this guy's probably going to strike out, as most home run hitters do, like Kyle Schwarber. Pete Alonso is actually a lot better at the strikeout rate. He's around league average, but you see 29.8% and 27.5% the last 2 years from Suarez, respectively. As long as he comes in here to Queens and hits 30-plus home runs, 28, 29, 30 plus, that is fine. The return on investment is worth it at that point, I would have to imagine. Batting average, don't care about it. You know, he hit 228 with an 824 OPS. If he's putting baseballs over the fence and in the gap and really driving in runs or setting up a guy like Juan Soto, is anyone really going to complain that he's hitting 228? The answer to that, I would have to think, is no. This is just a very value signing, or could be a very good value signing, in my humble opinion, if you bring Suarez on board. And like I said, with the financial flexibility that you save and giving him anywhere between $15 to $18 million AAV, you probably, I would have to imagine, have the flexibility to go out there and give Pete Alonso an extension worth 4 years, if that's what he's willing to accept, worth $25, $26 million AAV, which I think should be the asking price right now for Pete Alonso. We'll see how it plays out with the Red Sox and the Orioles, you know, reportedly in the mix, and him meeting with them today during the winter meeting. So I think Suarez is a good fallback option. Kyle Schwarber is still their 1A target. And if that doesn't materialize, you can see maybe an offensive upgrade via trade with Luis Robert. But if you want the proven consistency, if you want the guy that has produced with his bat over the past couple of seasons, and I still think can produce as a DH and not needing to play the field with the presence and emergence of Brett Baty, I think Eugenio Suarez would be a very under the radar and a very underrated value signing for David Stearns and the Mets. And that type of deal falls right in the lap and the philosophy and thinking of David Stearns as well, that 2-year deal that we just saw projected for Suarez this free agency. So Mets fans, let me know what you think about this name. We kind of teased it on the Hot Stove stream yesterday, but I really wanted to, you know, expand on it a little bit further with this video and give you all some of the metrics and what I'm thinking here, if this is an interest point for David Stearns and Suarez combined and collectively. So as always, keep an eye out on future content. Check out all the previous content. Make sure to smash those subscribe buttons. I'll be here all off season and all winter meetings long to give you an update about our beloved team from Queens. And I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.